What's up, everybody? My name is Ron Amos, and welcome back to Less Pressure Podcast. I just want to scream. It is negative something degrees in Chicago right now. Actually, it's -3. It's cold. This morning, when I woke up, it was -10. I woke up feeling like I was in a fucking ice box. This is the one thing that I hate about Chicago winters. It's so cold, and it's like humans were not meant to live in this type of weather. I don't know why we're here. It just doesn't make sense to me. But then again, it was not always this cold in Chicago. I remember growing up, it being cold, but not this cold. This is like a very bad, maybe global warming or something like that issue. But this is definitely just not working for me. When I woke up this morning, my feet touched the ground, and the ground was ice cold. And I don't have heat in my apartment. Well, I have heat, but the heat sucks. Like, my apartment building is very old, and the heat comes out of these little radiation systems that's connected to like the floor or the ground on the wall, and they just barely do anything. They do not help at all. So most of the time I have my oven on to get like some heat in here, and I know that's kind of dangerous, but like, I'm cold. I'm just trying anything, to be honest. And I wanted to get a little portable heating situation, but my mom told me not to because she was like, "You're going to burn the house down." So I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. It's kind of scary because I don't like being in the cold. This is my second year here, so I've dealt with this last year. It just didn't happen this early. It happened in January last time. This year it started maybe a month early, so just seeing how I'm going to deal with it. And I was supposed to have Christmas at my house tomorrow, but I don't think that we're going to do that anymore because it's too cold, and I don't want people to be uncomfortable. Speaking of Christmas, if you're listening to this on Monday when the episode drops, that means that yesterday was Christmas. That means yesterday was the big holiday that everybody's been looking forward to. So I hope you had a happy or a Merry Christmas. I know that Christmas can be a tough time for some people, and for some people it can be a great time, But no matter what your situation was, I hope that you found a way to make the best of it. I don't know what my Christmas is going to look like this year because, hold on, if you see some moving around, you hear some moving around, I apologize. I'm still getting adjusted. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so the way my Christmas is supposed to work this year is we're going to have Christmas at my apartment, hopefully, if we're able to. And we're going to open up Christmas gifts on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas Day, we're going to have Christmas at my uncle's house, or my aunt's house, and celebrate with the whole family. Do maybe like a little white elephant type of situation. I still haven't gotten my white elephant gift yet, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But hopefully I can find something that's easy to grab and just, get out of the store. But yeah, this Christmas has been a rough season for me because, well, I don't want to say the whole season. I'm not going to say that about the whole season. But what I can say is that the last week has been a little bit rough because I had all this money saved up. Not even saved up. I just had the money, right? I just had all this money that I was going to use for Christmas and buying gifts and stuff like that and put it towards the holiday season. And then my car broke down, and it just happened at the worst possible time. It felt like it was like, why? Like, I had just paid my car off the month before, so I shouldn't really be putting money into my car right now. Well, I didn't expect to be putting any money into my car this month. And then I was on my way to performance, and right before I hit the expressway, my car broke down, so I couldn't even go to the performance. And then I had to deal with the car, like the alternator died. So the thing that charges the car battery stopped working. So I was able to push the car, not push it, but I was able to get the car back to my apartment, and then they fully died in my parking spot. So, I mean, that was at least a good thing. And also, it died when I was on the expressway. That could have been terrible. That could have been just absolutely bad. But then I had to pay about $815 total to get it towed and repaired. So thankfully I have a car now. It works. Got it back pretty fast. But I just spent a lot of the money that I had set aside for gifts and stuff like that on my car. So, I mean, it is what it is. I just had to improvise with buying gifts this year. If I got you a gift and you didn't like it, you can kiss my ass because I tried. So, sorry. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I still got some pretty decent gifts for the money that I do have. My budget was very small. But I did what I could. And I don't see that's what matters the most. It's not about what you get people. It's the fact that you try and that you put a little bit of thought into the gifts and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm looking at my gifts under my tree right now, and I'm just, happy that I was able to do something for my people that I care about. So, yeah, hopefully you guys had a good Christmas. I don't know what Christmas looks like for you and your family, or if you even celebrate Christmas, but I know most people celebrate Christmas. And it's a time for everybody to just get back together with the family, and just spend some quality time with the people that you care about. Because I know that for me, when I spend Christmas with my big family, oh, it's so much fun. We have so many laughs and we eat so much food, and it's just a really good time to be around just family. We all have these different lives, and just the fact that we can all come back together for a day and just laugh and share each other's energy, it always means a lot to me. Some years we weren't able to do it a couple times, and I don't know, I always felt like I was missing something on those years when we couldn't all get together. But even though I would still get together with my immediate family, whenever I couldn't get together with my big extended family, I always felt kind of off, like I'm missing something for Christmas. But yeah, hopefully you had a good Christmas. New Year's is coming up, so it's a lot going on right now. So I just kind of want to try something. Well, not try something, but I want to talk about music. And it's been a pretty interesting year for music this year. And my music taste is pretty cool, I think. I like to listen to a lot of different types of stuff. So I'm a big music guy. I love music. That's most people. I mean, name one person that doesn't listen to music. I think everybody listens to music. So I can't even sit here and be like, I'm a music enthusiast. I'm really not. I just casually listen to music. And the music that I listen to tends to be of a bunch of different genres. But I kind of wanted to talk about my top 5 albums of 2022. There were a lot of albums dropped this year, and a lot of them were good, a lot of them weren't. And I kind of want to just go through my top 5. So if you like these, cool. If you don't, I get it, but it's just my personal opinion on what I was enjoying this year. Like, these are the albums that stood out to me as a listener, and the ones that I kind of felt the most connected to, and wow, that artist did their thing this year. So I'm just gonna go through them from number 5 to number 1. Not that number 5 is my least favorite, but number 5 is my least favorite of the bunch, if that makes sense. Not that it's a bad album, but I only picked 5. So number 1 is my number 1, and then number 5 is my number 5, if that makes sense. So let me stop talking so much. And then I'm also going to tell you what my favorite song was from the album after I talk about the album a little bit. So coming in at number 5, my number 5 album of the year was Blue Water Road by Kehlani. I typically like Kehlani albums, but I really, really liked this album. This album felt so much more healed, and it felt so much more like clarity. Her previous album, it was good until it wasn't. It was kind of in a breakup album-ish, and it was a very emotional, like, kind of album, dealing with the highs and lows of losing someone and stuff like that. This album was more so like her finding herself and her finding clarity and just being, and maybe even finding new love. So Blue Water Road really felt like a breath of fresh air to me. It felt like calmness. It felt like ease. It felt like a river almost. I felt the water in that album. It did definitely flow. I really liked that album. Kehlani is also a Taurus, which I find to be quite interesting because I'm a Taurus and she doesn't necessarily give me Taurus energy. I mean, some of her songs give me Taurus energy, but when I see her, I'm like, man, she's got to be a Sag or something. I don't know. She's got to be something else. She just, to me, doesn't seem like a Taurus. But also, she does kind of seem like a Taurus because I could kind of see that. But this album definitely felt like a Taurus. It did. My number 1 song on the album would have to be Melt. That song was just, to me, the analogy of her like melting into someone. So cool. That was such a cool like idea for a song. Like, I love you so much. Like, I just want to melt into your skin. Like, I just want to be a part of you. Some of her lyrics were, it went like, something about like, I can't tell if these are your tattoos or mine because we're so close. Like, stuff like that. The way that she just described it was so just, I don't know, it was just beautiful to me. So I loved Blue Water Road by Kehlani. That's my number 5 album of the year. Number 4, coming in at number 4. This album was cool. I liked it. It was a fun album. My number 4 album of the year was Gemini Rights by Steve Lacy. Now, Steve Lacy had a big year this year. He had a huge year this year. I had been listening to Steve Lacy since, I want to say, maybe, 2021. So I'd been listening to him for a year before he really got popular. So I was kind of already like in the midst of his music. I was already checking out the stuff. When he dropped Bad Habits before it blew up, I had listened to it the day that it dropped. Like, I was already ready for Bad Habits. I was streaming that song. Gemini Rights was such a cool album. It just sounded so alternative, like all his other music, and it was just like the energy of it just felt really like cool. Like, he's a different kind of artist, so all his music kind of feels a little bit just. It's hard to put a name on it or a word with it. It just, I literally can't put it into words. I love Gemini Rights. The songs were so like funky, like the beats were so funky. I loved them. My number 1 song from that album would have to be Helmet. It goes, oh, I've been consumed. I'm not for sale. Man, what the hell? I love that song. That's my number 1 song from that album. That's probably the one I listen to the most next to Bad Habit. Because I get why Bad Habits was such a popular song this year. It's such an alternative song, but it also has like a pop, uplifting, upbeat feel to it. Like, you want to dance. And also the message is really like cool too. Just like, I wish I knew you wanted me. I would have, acted accordingly. I like that whole album. So shout out to Steve Lacy. I did see those TikToks of him like yelling at the people at his concerts. I found that to be hilarious because I find people that heckle at concerts to be the most annoying people ever. Most of the time, like, the artist will speak back to you just to be nice, but they really don't want you interrupting their set to yell out stuff just because it's like quiet in the room for a hot second. Like, that's not room for you to yell out shit, you know, or throw shit. Like, someone threw a or a camera at him on stage, and they were probably expecting him to like take a picture and like throw it back. I think he like smashed it. He was just like, no, this is not how I work. But in his defense, if you were already a fan of him, you could have probably expected that from him. It's these new people that are catching on from his mainstream success that are like, oh, I want to go to a fun concert. Let's go to Steve Lacy. They go to the concert and they don't really know him, you know? So just found that to be kind of interesting. Just be careful when you're screaming shit and throwing stuff at these artists because they do put a lot of time and energy into their sets. So don't fuck them up. All right. Let me grab a sip of water first. My throat is so dry. Okay. Coming in at number 3. My number 3 album of 2023 is going to be Her Loss by Drake and 21 Savage. The way that I listen to albums is I'll listen to the album fully through, and as I'm listening, if I like a song, I'll save it to my playlist. And I literally saved every single song on this album to my playlist. That's how I knew it was like a straight through banger. The whole thing was just hot. I'm not that big of a fan of 21 Savage. Like I don't want to say I'm not a fan, but I definitely like listen to his albums and stuff like that. But when I'm like, I want to listen to some music, I don't think to turn on 21 Savage, if that makes sense. No disrespect, I like 21 Savage, but he's just not my go-to. So I was more here for Drake, but their balance was very cool. Like the Drake with the 21, it's not a mix, or it's not really a pairing I was expected to see, you know, when it came to an album being dropped, but it turned out really cool. And I think that Drake just has that effect. Like, he could probably drop an album with anybody, and it turned out to be a big hit. So I do really, really appreciate what they did this year. And the memes that came from this album, from this music, was so funny. The 21, like when he was like, 21, can you do something for me? And they got Drake, like they make it Drake to seem like a little girl or something like that. I thought those were just funny. And I like the fact that Drake can look at these memes and like laugh at them and not be so butthurt, because the internet is just a crazy place. And that's the fun of being on the internet. It's just everything is a joke. Everyone's poking fun at everything. So I like that Drake can be like down with the jokes and stuff like that. I appreciate his sense of humor. And my favorite song from Her Loss is going to have to be Hours in Silence. I don't know what it is about that song, but the vibe is just there. I love that song so much. These days, I can't sing, but like that song is a vibe. Number 1 song for sure. Love it. Listen to it almost every day. All right, that was short and sweet. So here we go. We're at the last 2 from me. We've got Blue Water Road, Gemini Rights, and Her Loss. We got 2 more. So coming in at the big 2 spot is gonna be SOS by SZA. This song literally dropped a week ago, and I put it up there already. Like that, it's just that good. I love SZA. I love everything that she does. I love this album. I love the theme. I loved her style of singing. I like that it's like an alternative R&B kind of vibe. She also dropped some like pop punk songs on there too that came off really cool. I really enjoyed that album. What does SOS stand for? You can't ask me because I would not know. I have no idea, but SOS was that. I listened to it again today, actually. I listened to that album all the way through. When it dropped last week, I listened to it back to back 4 times. It was that good. I have a lot of favorites from this album, and it's so hard to pick one. But man, because so many of them are so good, it's so hard to just pinpoint one song. I'm not gonna do two or three. I'm gonna stick to just saying one. I think that I'm gonna go with this one because it was my initial number one always. Like it was the first song on the album where I was like, all right, this is my song. This is my favorite one. And the other ones kind of like grew as my favorite, but this one is my favorite from the jump, so I'm gonna stick with it. My favorite song from SOS is Far. I don't know what it is about the song. Maybe it's the lyrics, the story, the vibe, but Far is my jam. I can't lose when I'm with you. Wait, no, that's Snooze. I'm fired. Shoot me. Oh my God. I just said my favorite song was Far, and then I started singing Snooze. I'm done. You know what? I apologize. I gotta go. That's it for me. How can I lift? I'm done. Anyways, I'm just gonna move on to the next one because I'm embarrassed now. All right, so my final one is here. We're here at number one. My number one album of 2022 is, drumroll please, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. Let's talk about this album. This album sounded like healing. This song sounded like a black man that went to therapy. This album sounded like some introspection. This album was top to bottom phenomenal. Like just the quality of the music, the sounds, his inflections, his stories. He went everywhere. He was not limiting himself when it came to subject matter. He talked about everything. He was very real. It was honest. It was raw. It was a beautiful album. The cover art was dope. Everything about Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I thoroughly enjoyed that entire album from top to bottom. I really, really liked it. It had to be the most quality album that we had this year. This album was quality. Like it, and that's what Kendrick Lamar does. He delivers quality albums. Damn was also a quality album. But it's funny how he can already have that big of a record and then drop another one that's just as big. But the thing is, it's relevant. It doesn't feel like he just made an album and tried to make it really good. I feel like it was personal. I feel like it was where he's at right now. I felt like the same thing with Damn. I feel like his music is just projecting where he's at in his life, and he's just putting it out in the most like quality way that he knows how to. There were a lot of cool songs on this album, a lot of conversations that came from a lot of these songs. But my favorite song from Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers is going to have to be, drum roll please, one more time, Father Time. Father Time featuring Sampha. This song was my go-to song for Instagram stories. It was every time I posted a story and I needed to put a song over it, I was putting Father Time by Kendrick Lamar and Sampha. I know the song is like not a light subject matter necessarily, but it was a vibe, man. The Sampha on that hook just did something for me. I really enjoyed it. When they performed it on SNL earlier this year, I really didn't enjoy the performance because it didn't sound like the audio record, but that's what happens when you perform music live sometimes. It doesn't sound the same. But nonetheless, phenomenal song, phenomenal record. He has to get a Grammy for this song or for this album. I would be very like let down if he didn't. Now, I want to talk about because I feel like a lot of people are going to hate me for not putting this album on my list, but I got to be honest with myself, and I can't just be a people pleaser or an audience pleaser. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to say that Renaissance was one of the best albums of 2022. And I'm going to go on record and go ahead and say that it definitely was one of the best albums of 2022. But here's the thing about Renaissance. I listened to it. I liked it. But I did not feel a connection to it, if that makes sense. So I can listen to an album and tell that it's a good album and that it's quality material. And I feel like that album was produced beautifully. Like, it was top to bottom. Like, I feel like they took their time with that album. But it just was not the album that stuck out to me the most this year. It had some good songs on there, not gonna lie, but I just didn't connect with the album the way that some other people did, which is like, that's okay. But I don't expect to connect to every album, that gets put out. Excuse me. But nonetheless, it was a good album. This was no disrespect to Beyonce because she can really do no wrong, and the album was phenomenal also. It just was not on my top 5. So all you Beehive people out there that was expecting this to be on there, my apologies. Also, quick second, water break. Honorable mention. I had to mention Umi's album, Forest in the City. That album was pretty cool. Similar to Kehlani, that album also felt like some healing. It definitely felt like a healed album. It was a beautiful, beautiful album. Umi's not that big of an artist, I wouldn't say, but she definitely still put out a nice body of work. So I wanted to go to the tour of that album when it happened earlier this year. Was it earlier or how early was it? I can't remember. But I know when my friends went, and it was pretty cool. So I saw the videos on his story, and I wish I had went, but it's all good. Oh, also another honorable mention. Ivory by Omar Apollo. I forgot about that album. I'm not going to put it up there as my top 5, even though he's one of my favorite artists right now. He was my number 1 artist on Spot. No, he was like my number 2 or 3. But he's one of my favorite artists. But yeah, I can't say that album was better than any of the 5 that I chose. Maybe it was better than maybe it could have made my list, but no. I like my list. Do I? No, I do. I like my list a lot. I'm going to leave my list the way that it is. So coming in at number 5, we have Blue Water Road by Kehlani. Number 4, we got Gemini Rise by Steve Lacy. Number 3, we got Her Loss by Drake and 21 Savage. Number 2, we got SOS by SZA. And number 1, Big, I don't know why I said big, but we got Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. And that's the music that I was listening to this year. That list sounds very 2022 for me, So I'm going to end this podcast here. I really hope that you guys had a great holiday and that you guys have a great New Year's. Let me know what your favorite songs were or your favorite albums were of the year. Let me know if I got anything wrong, Comment at me or debate with me. Let's talk about music. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week and you guys are doing good. Follow the podcast on Spotify, follow it on Apple Music, follow it on Anchor, follow it on Instagram, follow it on TikTok, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, follow everything on YouTube, and I will see you guys. Actually, no. Actually, yes. I'm sorry. I apologize. Hey, again, I mess up these outros every week, so don't expect anything less from me. I'm going to mess up the outro every single week, faithfully. All right, so I got business to go take care of. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys later. Bye.